Welcome to this morning's sustainability focus. We're delighted to have with us Camilla Barnes from Better Business, Better World. And Camilla's going to talk us through the journey that you would go on to become a B Corp, but also maybe some of the steps towards that, Camilla, about 14,001 and 9,001, just so that people have a journey towards that B Corp certification. So I'm going to hand over to Camilla, who's going to introduce you to the B Corp journey. Thank you, Camilla.
Great. Thanks so much, Suzanne. So, hi, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you here today to talk about your sustainability journeys. So, today I'm going to, this webinar is for you if you're considering a sustainability certification, but don't know where to start, for example, or you want a clear picture of what a certification project involves. You want to understand what ISO 14001 and 9001 are and why they matter. And you might want to understand the recent changes in B Corp certification and what a top level of what B Corp looks like as well. So just to introduce myself a little bit, I'm Camilla Barnes of Better Business, Better World, and I've been supporting businesses on their environmental, social governance journey since 2017. I've supported nearly 40 businesses with their B Corp journey so far, 22 of whom are certified. I'm co-chair of the Gloucestershire B Local, which is a network that shares social environmental best practice in the area. And alongside that, I was nearly 10 years at Innovate UK and UK Research Innovation in Swindon, mostly working on their diversity inclusion campaign, so getting more women into innovation and more young people. But I was also in roles embedding quality processes. So that's where kind of the knowledge of 9001 comes in. And before I worked for 4 years at a sustainable development charity in Mexico, because originally I'm a linguist with a master's in Latin American development. Okay. So I would say you're probably here not because you don't care about sustainability, but maybe it feels overwhelming, or there are so many frameworks out there, lots of competing pressures in your business, and the constant risk of being accused of greenwashing. So you may be feeling a bit stuck. And just to say that is completely normal on this kind of journey. But I just wanted to share kind of the risks of waiting, because it's getting to a point where if you're not thinking about social and environmental responsibility, your reputation could suffer. You could risk losing contracts or retail listings or tenders because they're asking a lot about social value and environmental impact now. The costs continue to rise. So, for example, customers, especially the younger generation, might walk away, and the same for your future pipeline of workers. They're looking for, they're valuing a healthy work-life balance more and want to work for a business where they feel they're making valuable change. So really, the cost of inaction is starting to become greater than the cost of change. And I would say, this is completely normal. Many of my clients started exactly here, feeling overwhelmed or stretched thin and not sure where to begin. But the great thing is that the certifications I'm going to share are a really structured path forwards to help you get started on that journey. So today we're going to be looking at the benefits of becoming certified as socially environmentally responsible, how ISO 9001 and 14001 can get you started, how the B Corp standards will be different from 2026 onwards. And for those that don't know too much about it, I'll give a little bit of a background of what it is. And then an idea of step-by-step process and resources required to achieve these certifications, from the planning stages up to audit. So I wanted to start with the benefits of starting with ISO 9001 and 14001. So these are a great way, like a smaller step to transform into a socially environmentally responsible business. They provide the groundwork to go for more holistic certification, like B Corp slightly later. They are a globally recognized standard and they are third party audited. So this really helps with supporting you with tendering and new customer acquisition. So I would say that 9001 is really great for setting the groundwork for good business because it focuses on good customer service, great leadership, engagement of people, so your staff, suppliers, and customers. It focuses on your processes and continual improvement, and evidence-based decision making, and a lot around relationship management. So for me, that's just great business, and it's a way of putting that into practical action. And 14,001 is more around the environmental areas. So you would identify where you interact with the environment, where your business interacts with the environment, and then the impacts that that has, whether your product or service or through your operations. If you have products, it looks at the life cycle of your product. So you're not just thinking about transactional, but all of the connection from when you buy it and when it goes to the customer. So think about the whole life cycle of your product. And it also makes you think about emergency preparedness and response. So it's really great for risk management. But the benefit of the ISOs is that most of the ISOs actually follow the same approach. So first of all, they get you to understand the context of the organization. So great place to start with both of those topics. They want you to get it embedded in leadership and management structures. They ask you to think about the planning process, so risk-based thinking and objectives. Then they want you to allocate resources to it, so time and people and infrastructure. Then they want to see it embedded into your operations, and that will look different compared to whichever business you are. And then looking at the performance and evaluation stage, so internal audits, management review meetings, that kind of thing. And then they want to see the improvement stage, so where you're recognizing issues and implementing improvements. So again, great business practices, and it's just formalizing those kind of things and doing it in a really natural way. Okay, and so I will just introduce a little bit about B Corp now as the next stage of that journey. So B Corp started with these three guys in the US who had a basketball clothing company, and they had embedded great social environmental values, but they wanted to sell the business. And as they went to sell it, they didn't really have a way to keep those values embedded for the workers that were staying. So they established B Lab in the US in 2006, and it's really a holistic third-party certification to show that you're a socially and environmentally responsible business. And the certification doesn't just evaluate a product or service. So with the ISOs, it's kind of one area of the business, whereas B Corp is looking at the whole company that stands behind it. And then this transformed broader than just a certification into a global movement. They're really trying to move away from unfair capitalism to a fairer capitalist system where forces can be a force for good. And they do that by getting businesses to think about all stakeholders in the ecosystem, not just shareholder profits. So really looking after your workers, your customers, your local community, charities, suppliers, as well as thinking about the environment as a stakeholder. So just wanted to share kind of where these certifications sit in the world of sustainability certifications and frameworks. So you'll see that along the top, some are voluntary initiatives or frameworks, some are cross-industry best practice, some are ratings, so kind of showing where you are at. And then some are certifications showing that you have reached a certain level of something. And then along the side, some are product level. So Soil Association for food and drink products, FSC for paper products, for example. Some are sector specific. So MSC is just for fish, for example. Then some are area specific. So this is where the ISOs fit. So ISO 14001 just being the environmental management of your business, and 9001 just being the quality and kind of processes side of your business. And then you'll see that B Corp really sit in this space where it's a third party audit, but it's completely business wide. So it's really the most holistic certification on your sustainability journey. So the UK has got the most number of B Corps in the world now. We surpassed the US in December 2024. So we've got over 2,700 B Corps. And you'll see, I hope you'll recognize some quite big brands there now in the UK who are doing wonders for advocating for the movement and raising awareness about the certification. And globally, there are now more than 10,000 B Corps in the world, in 102 countries and 160 industries. So really, it's for any for-profit business. So charities and government organizations aren't eligible for B Corp because the whole mission is to use business as a force for good. But as you'll see, it's a globally recognized certification. So let's take a look at some of the benefits then. So first of all, stronger growth. So in the UK, B Corps have shown to have faster annual growth in turnover and employee headcount than non-B Corps. And based on a 2024 survey, 91% of UK B Corps believe that certification has had a positive impact on their organisation. It's great for attracting and retaining your future workforce pipeline. So the best talent, especially the younger generation, wants to do purposeful work, and B Corp provides this by providing the following things for staff. So financial security, health, wellness and safety, career development, engagement and satisfaction, diversity and inclusion, engagement with the local community and charities, as well as leading by example and providing a business mission that's socially and environmentally purposeful. It's great for differentiating from the pretenders. So there's really no hiding in the impact assessment. The questions really interrogate into every area of your business. And it's a third-party verified certification to prove that you're already operating at a high level of social environmental responsibility. It's great for customer loyalty. So B Corps generate customer loyalty because they offer more than just products. They're offering purpose, trust, and alignment with personal values. And for today's conscious consumers, that's often more powerful than price or convenience. It future-proofs your business. So B Corp certification makes businesses think about the long-term health, productivity, and risk management of the business. So once legislation catches up with where the world needs to be in terms of looking after people and planet, your business will be ahead of the game. It's great for community and collaboration. And in fact, I think that's the biggest differentiator from other certifications. B Corp's really building a movement and a community. It's not just about certification. And so once you're certified, you get access to something called the Beehive, which is an online forum where all B Corps globally hang out. There are lots of working groups on certain topics where you can work on common challenges. There are B locals in every area of England. So obviously Gloucestershire has one, and we're near more than 60, nearly 65 B Corps now, regularly sharing best practice and collaborating. You should inevitably see money savings because it's an audit of every element of your business. It also encourages you to reduce the consumption of natural resources and look after your people. So you should see cost savings where you make environmental efficiencies and retain happy staff. It's a great benchmarking and improvement tool. So each time you take the certification, B Lab want to see proof of social environmental improvements. So the first time is really to get a baseline, and then every time you renew, you should see it as a challenge, and it's also a requirement to improve on your previous performance. So the mission lock is how the certification embeds positive ideals into the DNA of the company. That's also a big difference to most other certifications. So you do this at the top level, your parent company level, and they ask you to change the articles of association to pull out the fact that the business will prioritize all stakeholders of the business, not just shareholders. And finally, it's brilliant for positive press because it's showing that it's a great thing you're doing and using your business as a force for good. And just wanted to share that about the awareness of B Corp now. So new data from B Lab UK's 2024 brand awareness survey revealed a high recognition of B Corp certification across the UK. So it's reached 51% now, which is the highest figure in any country surveyed. And this figure also peaks for 25 to 34-year-olds at 63% and 61% for those 35 to 44. And this is a significant increase compared to previous years. So it was 34% in 2022 and 38% in 2023. So this is really suggesting a broader cultural shift in the UK. Okay, so I will just give a brief overview of how the B Corp standards work. So as we speak, they are moving away from a flexible scoring system, which was that there used to be about 200 questions and the pass score was 80. And from kind of 2026, they're moving to minimum mandatory requirements, like a lot of other certifications, similarly to the ISOs, for example. But they tailor the requirements according to the size of your company. So either on your number of staff, full-time equivalent, or revenue, whichever's lowest. They also tailor it by your sector. So there's either agriculture, manufacturing, service with a minor footprint, or service with a significant footprint, or wholesale retail. So again, according to the type of business you are, they tailor the mandatory requirements. And also the country. So there'll be some countries they've identified as having some operational barriers. Sadly, the UK isn't one of those, but if you are operating in other countries, that might apply to you. So these are the topics that they cover. So government affairs and collective action, that's a new one. So they talk about responsible lobbying. If you're going to do any lobbying to the government, they want it to be about positive social environmental change. And they're asking you to get involved in at least one collective action to really increase that positive ripple effect with other businesses. So that's either could be via thought leadership or getting involved in a working group, like I mentioned before, or contributing to academic research, or policy change, all related to positive social environmental change. If you're a really large business, they also want to see you being involved in transparent tax performance. In fair work, that's a lot around kind of fair labour practices, paying the real living wage, having worker feedback and representation, and measuring and creating a good workplace culture. Human rights is a new topic, and that's all around, well, starting with a public commitment, but also looking at the human rights impacts in your supply chain, or with your where there might be risks with your clients if you're a service-based industry. So purpose and stakeholder governance is around having a purpose statement. So they want to see you solving a particular social or environmental challenge with your business model. Um, they want you to be engaging all of your stakeholders. That's why ISO 9001 would be a great one to start with, for example, because it's people focused. They want you to have a grievance procedure so that there's transparency around any complaints or negative issues. They want to see ethical marketing. And then for larger businesses, having impact, monitoring your social environmental performance at a board level and doing regular impact reporting. For climate action, it's around measuring your greenhouse gas emissions and having a climate action plan to reduce those. For environmental stewardship, it's around looking for environmental risks in your supply chain and or with clients if you're a service business. And if you're a product-based business, monitoring your energy, waste, water, and thinking about the life cycle of your product. So again, that links really nicely with ISO 14001 if you already started with that. And then justice, equity, diversity, inclusion is there are many, it's a multi-select of diversity inclusion actions that you can do, starting with having a public commitment. It could be having an inclusive hiring policy. It could be trying to increase the diversity on your board, or doing diversity inclusion training. There are lots of things you can do in that area. Okay, so there's the certification cycle is year 0, and then you recertify at year 3 and year 5. And so let's first of all take a look at the time investment for all of these. Any certification process will have resource requirement attached, but it's really part of the journey. It's a journey to transform your business into a force for good. Starting with these ISOs or B Corp, they're all for positive change in your business. So this I'll just kind of leave up to absorb. It's quite a lot of information, but to summarize in terms of timelines, it can obviously depend on your company size. But if we take kind of a small organization as an example, the project from start to the external audit could be about 4 months. And then the audit's pretty quick. The actual stage 1 audit can be 1 to 2 days. Same with the stage 2 audit, depending on how many sites you have or how big. So in total, it can be about 6 to 8 months from starting the project to being certified. And then the B Corp timelines are a bit different. So meeting the minimum mandatory requirements, because they're a lot more in depth and looking at your supply chain and possibly your customers, that can take anywhere between 9 to 12 months to make those improvements. Then you would meet the legal requirements, so update your articles of association. The verification should be between about 3 to 6 months with the new auditors on board, so this year onwards. Then you make your status official by signing the B Corp Declaration of Interdependence, and there's a certification fee. So the total from project start to being certified can be between 15 to 18 months for B Corp. In terms of time, your staff's time, so if you were to do these on your own, it might take about 6 days a month of your staff's time. And with external support from a consultant like me, that can go down to about 1 day a month of your staff's time. So let's have a look at some of the financial investment involved. So the ISO costs vary quite a lot, dependent on the number of employees, the number of sites, and audit days required. So I've given kind of a range of what those can look like. So again, if we go for a small SME, for year 0, it can be between 2,000 to 6,000 for the ISO. And then the surveillance years can be similar-ish for year 1 and year 2. And then when you recertify, where they're doing a full audit again, between 2,000 to 4,000. So yeah, they will vary a lot by size of company and complexity and who you get to do the audits. And then B Corp certifications costs are a bit more standardized. So it's by revenue, and there's a one-off submission fee, a one-off verification fee, and then a yearly certification fee. But the great news in the UK is that any business that's more the majority owned by a female, someone from an ethnic minority, LGBTQ, or with a disability gets a 40% equity discount on those annual certification fees. So we're really lucky there. B Lab UK are wanting to champion diverse business ownership, so that's a great discount we get. So you might be thinking, okay, so now I know a bit about those. So what are the options going forward? So there are two options I see it. You could either go through these things yourself, or you could have an accelerated support working with someone like me, where you work one-on-one. So this is the way I work with businesses. So to kickstart your responsibility journey, I have Better Business Ignite, and that's to do ISO 9001 and 14001 together. So the total program is about 5 months from discovery to auditing. So first of all, we would go through the discovery phase, and then the planning, and then we would work through those improvements and the evaluation stage, and I would support in the audit process to rectify anything identified in the stage 1 audit. So that's kind of how that looks. And then the Better Business Accelerator is how I support businesses to become B Corp certified. So this program is longer. This is about a 9-month project. So again, we go through a discovery phase of where you are now, and stress test how much further you can go within 6-7 months. Then I develop an improvement action plan, and then we work through those improvements. So embedding things like sustainable procurement, doing stakeholder engagement, greenhouse gas footprinting, supply chain mapping and risk assessment, and other policy creation, and also kind of staff engagement in that phase. And then I support through the verification process, which can be between 3 to 6 months. These are some of the clients I've worked with, and I would say the golden thread here is how the Better Business programs really support you to make the journey smoother. So if you're interested to hear more about either of these programs, you can either book in an in-person Green Gap review at the C2S headquarters on February the 20th February. So that booking page is on the events page. Or if this date doesn't work for you, feel free to contact me directly, and we can discuss where you are on your journey, where you want to be, identify some quick wins, and discuss what the Better Business Ignite or Accelerator programs can do for you. Great.